Welcome back to our Make Money on Purpose Roku TV channel. Once again, I am Carlos Sanz, the Safe Money Man of Carlinda Wealth Solutions, and my partner Richard Basson is right here.
Yes, I'm Richard Basson from ENS Private Network and Envisions, and we want to welcome you to our channel. And Carlos, you go ahead and get started, and we'll go from there.
Okay, guys, and today we're going to do a review of pretty much all the qualified retirement plans out there. There's just so much misunderstanding and just a lack of knowledge on those. So let's dive right in. First, let's talk about some of the hidden facts about qualified retirement plans. There's some little-known things out here about those plans, guys. One thing, the first kind of secret here, each plan is practically the same. Okay, Rich and I, we try not to laugh too hard when we're sitting down. We beat up on the 401k a lot just because there's a lot of you guys out there that have them. And occasionally we're talking about that in one of our live seminars right here. And we love it when people stick their chest out and say, well, I'm okay, I don't have a 401k, I have a 403b or I have a TSP, and not realizing that they're named, each one is named after their individual tax code, but essentially they're all the same. So we're going to uncover that and pull the curtains back today. So guys, we do this through education, and that's really the key to success in any arena, guys. No matter what you're talking about or what you're studying or pursuing, you've got to be educated here so you know what you're doing, you know what you're talking about, and also know what to expect. So in this explosive presentation, we will explore the differences based on historical facts and the performance of each plan, as well as pension plans too, not just your qualified retirement plans, because there's a few places or a few jobs that still you're fortunate enough to have a pension. So anyway, now the lessons learned here today will help those starting out with their plans, and even those who have 5 years or more under their belts in participating in their plan. Now, please pay close attention, guys, to this content, as this information will provide insight into current situations and future ones too. And to the 21 million Americans still sitting at home and unemployed due to COVID-19, we have a bonus option just for you a few slides later on in the presentation. All right. So again, we love to beat up on the 401k. Let's start with that one. Okay, let's get to know this thing a little bit. Now, this is our first episode, guys, in an upcoming educational series, again, on all these qualified retirement plans. So we're kind of giving you the basics today. We'll go in more detail in future episodes, okay? So anyway, the majority of people we meet with these plans, guys, they have absolutely no idea how their plan works. Most don't know if, how, or when the plan is either making or losing money. And almost no one realizes that this plan was never meant for them in the first place. And we're going to uncover that too. But let me just say this though. Part of the problem, guys, with these qualified retirement plans, you've been invited to play a game, and they hid the rule book from you. See, most people, think about it, you're on the playing field running back and forth, you don't even know the rules, the boundaries, or any of that. But we're going to clear that up for you today. Let's talk about the origin of the 401k. Like, where does this thing even come from? Because most people don't understand that. Anyway, during the 1970s, executive bonuses and stock options were running wild and it's going completely out of control. Keep in mind, guys, that the people we're talking about here, these are already independently wealthy people earning salaries of at least $100,000 to, in some cases, multiple millions of dollars per year. So these bonuses and stock options were several times more than that on an annual basis. Now let that sink in for a second, okay? They're already making 6 figures or 7 in some cases. And these bonuses they were getting, given themselves each year were several times more than that. Just let that sink in for a second. So anyway, the IRS looked at this just rampant, just out of control bonuses and stuff, and they said, okay, we'll fix that. So they began to tax this money at a much higher tax rate. Okay? So the recipients of these bonuses and stock options cried foul. Okay? These men and women were already independently wealthy, so they did not need this money to live on right now. Okay? Don't let that go over your head here. Okay? This is not live on money. This is leave on money. Okay? So anyway, most of that money was being put away for the future. So these folks cried out for a place to park this money for now, then pay taxes later when they retire and fall into a much lower tax bracket. Then they could think about it, cash that money in, but not have to pay those big tax bills. Okay. So November 6th of 1978, our good old Congress, passed the Revenue Act. This act included a provision, Section 401k. That's what the plan is named after. Okay. It gave employees a tax-free way to defer bonuses and stock options. The law went into effect January 1st, 1980. Now these men and women knew, understood, and could afford the risk of losing a great deal of this money. Did you get that? Okay. Losing was a part of the deal. Okay. Now, they also realized the likelihood of still having a lot left. Because here's the deal, guys. When you put away millions, you can afford to lose a few. Can't you? So, continuing on with the origin here. Now, Ted Benham, a Johnson Company's benefits consultant back in the late 70s, early 80s, he saw the law as an opportunity for employers to create a tax advantage savings/investment account for all of their employees. So in 1981, the IRS issued rules that allowed employees to contribute to those plans, the 401k plans, through salary deductions, which jump-started the widespread rollout of 401k plans in the early 1980s. So by 1983, half of U.S. companies offered a 401k plan. Now this is where troubles began for the American middle class, okay? And that includes a lot of you guys out there. So in 2020, let's talk about how this thing actually works here now. We're going to get into some of the nuts and bolts here. So in 2020, this year, you may contribute up to $19,500 of your annual salary. Now if you're 50 and above, you're allowed a $6,500 catch-up. Now that's annually, okay? Now total employer-employee contributions together maxes out at $57,000. That's again per year. The contributions are taken as a payroll deduction. They're taken on a tax-deferred basis. Now guys, tax-deferred does not mean tax-free. People confuse this all the time. Okay, because trust me, when you get to retirement and start pulling this money out, guess what? There are two separate layers of taxes that are due upon withdrawal. We'll talk about that in a little more detail on the wealth test, self-test. Now, one benefit, though, it does reduce your annual taxable income for the current year, okay? Now, continuing on with how this thing works, your contributions are deducted from each paycheck. I thought we said that on the last slide. Anyway, your contributions are used to purchase investments, okay? Stocks, mutual funds, bond funds, and index funds. These investments may gain value, but guess what? These investments will also lose value. And let me say something about that, guys. Notice we didn't say if. It's not a matter of if, these things are going to lose money, guys. It's a matter of when. It's a matter of frequency. It's a matter of how many times, okay? Can't lose sight of that. So here's the thing, guys. You better hope and pray for more gains than losses, because you absolutely have no guarantees and you absolutely have no control. Now, let's talk about understanding, whether it's a 401k or any of the, this applies to all of them right here, guys. First of all, these qualified retirement plans, guys, they are investment plans, okay? Just to help you come to that realization, ask yourself this. However you get paid, the frequency you get paid by, guys, whether it's every week, bi-weekly, meaning every 2 weeks, or once a month. And that money comes out of your paycheck, guys. What is the investment company that holds your plan, what do they take that money and then turn around and purchase? Investments, okay? So you don't have a savings plan, guys. I know they call it that, but really it's an investment plan. So here we go. Now, your qualified plan is not a savings plan, okay? Now, here's the thing about investment plans, guys. They can, they do, and they will lose money. Like we just said, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. So, but here's the difference. Savings plans, which we offer, never lose money. Let me say that again. Savings plans that we offer never lose money, okay? Now, investing involves risk. Now, let me give you a basic definition of risk here, okay, especially financially speaking. Well, here's the definition, guys. Exposing something of value, meaning your hard-earned money inside your 401k, your 403b, your IRA, your 457, ERS, FERS, or TSP, whichever one of those you have, okay? But exposing your valuable money to harm, danger, and loss. And believe me, guys, you look at what's happened in the market this year because of the coronavirus, COVID-19 thing, you have any one of those plans, you've experienced every bit of this year. We're not talking ancient history. You're probably feeling and reeling from this right now. So anyway, guys, savings plans, again, that we offer do not involve risk. Now, continuing on with the understanding of these plans, guys, here's the thing. Your 401k can be negatively impacted by the news. And what I mean by that, guys, just some random arbitrary report about something comes out, and here's the scary part. In some cases, whatever that report is, it may never happen. But guess what? It still causes your account to go down. And see what we meant on that last slide, saying you have no control and no guarantees? All it takes is some random report, man. Boy, it has nothing to do with you at your address, but guess what? It costs you some money. So we can take all that away. But keep in mind, guys, when the news affects Wall Street, it also affects your 401k. Now keep in mind, the last week of February, Wall Street lost $6 trillion, guys, in 1 week. Okay, we still have, what is this, July? We still have 5 months to go in the year, guys. $6 trillion lost in 1 week. And look at this. Well, and keep in mind, when the market lost, your 401k or whichever plan you're on, it lost money too. Okay, don't lose sight of that. Now, just in about, less than a month here, about 3 weeks, from February 19th through March 12th this year, okay, the market, or Wall Street, lost $11.5 trillion. Now, here's a question for each one of you. How much did your plan lose? Again, it didn't matter which one, they all lost, but how much did your plan lose? Here's the flip side of that, guys. Our clients over here at Make Money on Purpose have not, cannot, and will not lose one penny. Okay? You need to check this out. Now let's talk about the father of the 401k, a gentleman by the name of Ted Benna. We mentioned him a little bit earlier, a benefits specialist for the Johnson Companies. He convinced Congress and the IRS to create code 401k. He first created it as a tool, as a loophole for the rich. Not for all of us, the working class people of America, guys, but for the uber rich to hide money, basically, okay? Well, the story, I don't want to use the word hide, but the story. So anyway, he then convinced, them being, Congress and the IRS, to make it available for everybody. So Mr. Benna had good intentions. Wall Street, not so much. Ted Benna has stated in both live interviews and news articles that this is Ted talking, not me, okay? He says, I created a monster, and I wish I had never written the first plan. And he also stated the big winners have been mutual fund companies, mutual fund managers, your employer, and the IRS. And the big losers are all the people that are the owners of these plans. Okay? Not just the 401k, but the entire list. Now let's talk about the 401k's track record. Now, you realize the 401k turned 40 years old. We told you earlier it was born in 1978. And Employee Benefits Research Institute, or EBRI.com, one of my favorite places to go and just study all these plans, they've given us some eye-opening data from those 40 years. They tell us the average person starts a 401k at age 25. And our friends at Social Security, and you contribute all the way up to age 67, and for most of us guys, our friends at Social Security have let us know if you're born after 1960, 67 is now your full retirement age, okay, not 65 for most of us. So anyway, back to EBRI, they tell us the average person contributes about $200,000 over those 42 years there. And our new friends at New York Stock Exchange tell us at NYSE.com, they tell us, guys, they remind us, about every 7 years or so, there's a major market decline. We experienced what we just experienced, remember, through February and March there. Just had that happen here this year. So anyway, and then remember, guys, when you get to retirement and get ready to cash this money out and live on it, your friends at the IRS come knocking, and they take 2 layers of taxes out before you get 1 penny. Because remember, guys, that money goes from your paycheck to these accounts, pre-tax, so you have to pay it all at the end. So anyway, when all these factors right here wash out, the average person walks away with only $60,000 to retire on for the rest of your life. And remember, guys, people are living longer now too. So you retire at 65, somewhere between 65 and 70. It's very likely you can live another 25 to 30 years. And here's another thing that came from EBRI, that 60 grand right there. Whether it's a 401k, TSP, what have you, they tell us that most people blow that in 3.5 to 5 years. Then you're down to Social Security. So, continuing on with the track record of the 401k. By 1983, nearly half of all U.S. companies offered the plan, guys, the 401k. And here's the thing, corporate America, they fell in love with this plan because it was much cheaper to fund than a pension plan. And employees were attracted to it because they were told they could possibly put them in a better position to retire. Now, 2 bull market runs in the 1980s and 1990s pushed the 401k accounts higher, reports the Wall Street Journal. And then, 2 recessions in the 2000s erased all those gains and prompted second thoughts by some of the early 401k champions, such as Ted Benna himself. And remember, he's the father of the 401k, the man who created this monster. So, Gerald Facciani, he's a former head of the American Society of Pension Actuaries, he told the Wall Street Journal this: the great lie is that the 401k was capable of replacing the old system of pensions. The 401k was oversold. Okay? Now, according to Ted Benna, again, the father of the 401k, he says the 401k was never meant to replace pensions. Now, remember who's saying this, guys? The man who created the 401k. So if he's saying that, how should you feel about it? Now, pensions provided a guaranteed payment for life, guys. You realize your 401k, or again, all these qualified plans, you realize they cannot guarantee that you'll have even $1 for retirement. Because remember, going back to the random reports and how the news affects your account, all it takes is one arbitrary, report about something, even if it hasn't happened yet, it's costing you money. Now, I hope as we've gone through this, guys, you're beginning to see that if you can't put away hundreds of millions of dollars and you cannot comfortably afford to lose some of those, several million of those dollars at a time, this plan is not for you, guys. It was never meant for you. Okay, this is not for working class America. This is for the super rich to park money, and cash it in later in a lower tax bracket. It doesn't apply to most of us. So, just a little bit about the creation of this thing. Herbert Whitehouse, who was also worked for the Johnson & Johnson companies with Ted Benna, the father of the 401k, he helped him push all this stuff on Congress. Now, back in the early 80s. Well, anyway, he now says that he can't retire until his mid-70s, and that's if he wishes to maintain a standard of living, because Mr. Martin, the person who wrote the article for him, or about these guys, says his 401k took a hit in 2008, he's 65. And Ted Bennett, the man most frequently credited for the 401k, remember, the father of the 401k as we know it, even he says he doesn't believe there's any system currently in existence that can help most Americans finance their financial needs in retirement. And he makes this little goofy sound at the end like, oof. Now, keep in mind, guys, when he talks about any system currently in existence, he's talking about all of your qualified retirement plans that we keep talking about. Remember that list? The 401k, the 403b, 457, ERS, FERS, IRA, and TSP. And if I forgot one or two in there, you're included still. So no, nobody's immune from this. Hey guys, keep in mind that all these qualified retirement plans, guys, are practically the same plan. Now, we'll share the solution in just a little bit here, so let's move on to the next one, known as the 403b. And this is usually for those of you that work for nonprofits like hospitals, school districts, and churches, and things such as that. So let's talk about the origin of this plan now. Originally created in 1958 by our good old Congress again for employees of tax-exempt corporations, just that little list I just gave you. In 1961, the public education institutions, including public school districts, became eligible for this plan, or to offer the plan. So the purpose of the 403b plan was to help these employees save for their future retirement income. So let's dive in and see if it's working. So here's how it works. The elective deferral is the most common type of employee contribution into these plans. These contributions made under a salary reduction pre-tax, by the way, contribution agreement. This agreement allows an employer to withhold money from an employee's salary and deposit it into a 403b account. Now, in 2020, you may defer the lesser of 100% of your includable compensation, or $19,500. Now, some plans allow the 15-year rule, meaning you may contribute an extra $3,000 a year after 15 years. Now, some plans allow the $6,500 catch-up, just like the 401k and the IRA. Now, only for employees that are 50 years old or older. Now, that amount, the catch-up amount, may be reduced if you catch up in other plans too. They only allow one catch-up at the full catch-up value. Now, continuing on with understanding this plan. First understand, guys, just like the 401k, that you holders of the 403b plan, guess what? You also have an investment plan, guys. You do not have a savings plan. Okay. Now, your contributions will be placed in one of these three investment types. Notice it didn't say savings types, guys. Investment types. Okay. Now, it's either an insurance company's annuity contract, or it's a custodial account invested in mutual funds, remember, with risk, loss, and excessive taxes, right? Or a retirement income account set up for church employees. Now, continuing on with the understanding of these things. Now, let's talk about those investment choices here for a second. Now, the annuity option offers some safety, okay? But also, that option offers low risk, which is, kind of the appeal. But here's the problem with that, guys. That option also offers a low reward or return. Just keep in mind, most of these things I run across, the guaranteed interest rate on this thing is only about 3 or 4%. and that's it. Keep in mind, that's very low and slow growth. You got to ask yourself, hey, 25, 40 years of contributing to that, will the payout at the end when you retire, your full-time paycheck goes away, excuse me, will that payment be enough? So anyway, your retirement income withdrawals from those plans, guys, are fully taxable, 100%. Now, most 403b retirees live in tough economic conditions. And let me say this, guys. Richard and I, of course, you can't see his wife here, she's behind the camera, but we all know teachers personally, guys, are living in some tough conditions now to retire from their teaching careers. So, and we're just here to try to help people have a better path here. We don't want everybody to keep following that same pattern. Because keep in mind, one of the terms we use a lot is you got to stop following the herd. Okay, because that's what we're talking about right now. This is what the herd is doing. We're going to show you a better way. So, let's see. Oh, and it's hard to live on your 403b and your TRS benefits alone. I mean, even putting those two together, boy, it makes for a tough financial future when you retire. So again, guys, understanding 403b, just remember that we talked about those negative and random reports when those things come out in the news. It affects Wall Street. Guess what? It affects your 403b plan too in a negative way, meaning it makes your balance go down. So again, guys, Wall Street lost $6 trillion the last week of February, just like it affected those 401ks. It affects your 403b as well. And again, we had that 3-week period from February 19th to March 12th, and Wall Street lost $11.5 trillion. Now, that's all fine and dandy, but to bring this home and put some skin on it for you, ask yourself, or get online and check your account, guys. How much did it cost your 403b, and how much did you lose personally? Okay. So here's the thing, guys. The people that we've given them a better way, and they've opted out of this stuff, guys. Guess what? Our clients haven't lost 1 penny. Let that sink in, guys. Not 1 penny. We like to just jump in periodically and remind you guys that all these qualified plans are practically the same plan, okay? We'll share the solution, so let's review the next plan, the IRA plan. But boy, there are so many of these things. Believe me, we don't have time to go into the nuts and bolts and the minute differences of each one. Just keep in mind the basic, purpose of this, guys, is to talk about investment risk and how you're losing, and to show you a better way. So let's just go over the list real quick here. There's traditional IRAs, Roth IRAs, SEP IRAs, simple IRAs, and payroll deduction IRAs. And again, for today's purposes, we don't need to go into the detailed differences of each one. Let's just talk about the net effect on your life. So let's go into understanding your IRA. Now, most IRA account holders that we meet are business owners, because they're not working for a large corporation with a big, huge benefit plan for employees. They can't participate in those. So this was created for the one-on-one guys, individual people. And the majority of them are hard-working small business owners, and they can't participate in the large corporate plans. And they usually invest their company profits, right back into these plans. And their contributions go into stock market investments, because remember, these are investment plans, not savings plans, even though they're called that. You've heard the term wolf in sheep's clothing? Yeah, that's what you have here, okay? So anyway, and these contributions are also made on a tax-deferred basis. And again, guys, we have to remind you, tax-deferred does not mean tax-free, okay? People confuse that all the time. So remember, when you get to retirement and start withdrawing this money to live on, you have 2 layers of taxes that are due upon withdrawal. And we give you our little quick view on the wealth test, self-test. It'll make more sense, okay? And this does reduce your annual taxable income for the current year, okay? Now, your contributions are deducted from each paycheck. Wait, did we just do it? Well, anyway, that's okay. Believe me, people learn through repetition, so even if we did, that's okay. You can't hear this often enough, okay? So let's go ahead and flow through this. Your contributions are deducted from each paycheck. Your contributions are used to purchase investments, stocks, mutual funds, bond funds, and index funds. Now remember, guys, these investments may gain value, but you can bet your life for several times over your contribution period, guys, these investments will lose value. Notice it doesn't say might or maybe. They will lose value, okay? So you are hope and pray for more gains than losses. You have absolutely no guarantees and no control. Now, your IRA is an investment plan. It's not a savings plan. We're just going to drive that point home until we make it clear. Investment plans can do and will lose money. Savings plans, which we offer, we make money on purpose, never lose money. Investing involves risk, and just like we did for the 401k guys, we're going to do this for you too. Okay, just a basic definition of risk, which means exposing something of value, and that something is your hard-earned paycheck, right? Hard-earned money comes out of your paycheck to fund these plans. But exposing something of value to harm, danger, and loss. And again, think about what you've gone through this year. You've experienced all 3. And again, guys, savings plans, which we offer, do not involve risk. Now, guys, your IRA, as stated before, can be negatively impacted by the news. When the news affects Wall Street, it affects your plan. And again, we went over those numbers, the losses in February, the losses over that 3-week period. And again, guys, to bring this home and to put some skin on it for you, you have to ask yourself, how much money did your IRA lose? And remember, the people we've helped that have opted out of this and quit following the herd, guess what? They haven't lost 1 penny. And you can be next. Now, let's talk about investing in qualified retirement plans just generally. Again, our friends over at Employee Benefits Research Institute, since 2018, they remind us, guys, the average person contributes to a 403B, starts that plan at 25, contributes to 67, put in about 200,000. And of course, our friends at New York Stock Exchange or Wall Street tell us about every 7 years there's a major market decline. And then guess what? You retire, start taking that money out, your friends at the IRS come knocking, and they get theirs first, and you get what's left. And usually that what's left is the bottom line right here. The average person retires with about 60 grand to stretch out for the rest of your life. And just again, to remind you, our friends at EBR right here on the top line, guess what? They tell us that most of you'll blow through that in 3.5 to 5 years. And then you're down to your Social Security check. So, guys, just a quick reminder here, this current impact of this COVID-19 crisis, man, this has affected all of the qualified retirement plans. Just think about that whole list, and if you're watching this, more than likely you have one of those, okay? So the following information here, guys, it will apply to all of them as well. So this impact will have a long-lasting effect on your financial future, especially for those of you that refuse to change, okay? Believe me, it is time to make a change. Whether you've been in these things for, 30 days or 30 years. But now, we've talked about the impact, guys, of losing in these qualified retirement plans. Now, we also have to talk about what's out there to, well, at least on paper, to supplement your plan. And that's a thing called Social Security. Okay, and pretty much we've all heard of that, right? So let's talk about something here. And by the way, now, just for the sake of time, I'm not going to... On live events, I like to ask this question to the audience, guys, but since we're recording this, I like to ask people, what do you think is the real problem with Social Security with these shortfalls and, being short on money? Well, everybody has their own theories, guys, but here's the reality. It's longevity. People are just living longer than they used to. And this system was never designed for people to be living past 100 years. Think of 100 years of age and sucking money out of the system for 35 to 40 years. But that's the reality now. Anyway, the system wasn't built to sustain that. But here's what the Committee for Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid had to say about this. I know it's kind of fuzzy back here in this little script here. Around 2030, and remember guys, what year is it now? 2020. So in roughly a decade, Social Security will be bankrupt. Now let's explain before you totally panic here. It doesn't mean they'll have no money. You're not going to receive anything. They're just not going to be able to pay you 100% of what they owe you. And the 77% right here, that's the figure they've thrown out there. Now, let's go back to longevity for a minute. That's just the beginning, because keep in mind, guys, as this aging population continues to increase, but the money supply stays short, they're going to have to make more adjustments for it. So what they've said, if you can read the whole 14 pages of that report from the committee, guys, what they're saying is, as the situation gets worse, they'll just reduce it about 5% at a time. So they'll go from 77, 72, 67, 62, 57, 52. And if you're in your 20s or 30s watching this, we're going to pray for you. Okay, so it's not a pretty picture for the future. So you ask, what else can I do? Well, for starters, partner with us at Make Money on Purpose. Okay, and again, I've mentioned this at least once or twice. Stop following the herd. The herd is headed for a financial cliff, guys. And the dangerous thing about that is, guess when you realize you've hit that financial cliff? Once you've taken the first step and there's nothing to catch you there. There's just open air and a bad crash at the end there. So here, guys, learn how to build true wealth with us. Okay, create wealth without risk. Okay, because again, Richard and I, we don't take your money and run to Wall Street with it and just roll the dice like pretty much everybody else in the financial world. We do not do that, I promise you. Okay, begin to learn the difference between secured and unsecured investments. And also with us, guys, I promise you, you can secure your short and long-term financial future. And here's the big thing: never lose money again. So, now let us show you what we can do with those EBRI.com average contribution numbers. Remember, we just showed you all that 25, 67, 200,000. Just to kind of whet your appetite and give you something to be happy about and to look forward to. Let's talk about that. But first, a little tidbit here. Let's talk about the way out. Now, our system provides a gateway to building what we call true wealth, regardless of the qualified retirement plan or pension system. Okay, we provide the knowledge to empower our clientele to put them in the driver's seat of their own financial futures. Now, attention, all you professional groups such as dentist unions, doctors unions, private investment groups, even professional athletes from every league. You guys that play basketball around the world, Canadian football players, WNBA, ladies, we got your back. Okay. Now, we have financial plans with explosive growth, and they're designed and developed with safe, sound, and secured investments. So, let's give you a little example of what we can do, guys. And this is my side of the house here. I have a little program called Wealth Stacking here, and Richard's going to come over and show you his just shortly after this. But let's talk about the EBRI numbers on the left over here for a second. Remember, you start at 25, contribute for 42 years, you put in roughly 200,000, and Wall Street tells us you're going to lose, big about 6 times over that 42 years. And at the end, when you cash it in to live on it, the IRS comes along and takes 2 layers of taxes, right? And when it all washes out, 60 grand for life to live on, right, until the day we pass away. And keep in mind, do the math. You can pull out your phone, guys, use your calculator. You can do this real quick yourself, and realize that is a negative 70% return. So instead of doing that, learn how to make money on purpose, right? The name of our company and what we do. Take the same timeline, same contribution level, but here's the difference now where things change. Again, we don't take this money around to Wall Street, guys, so guess what? The money is never at risk. You can never lose a penny. And because we're not doing the whole pre-tax trap over here, we're using after-tax dollars, you already paid your tax. Now, there's some rules and guidelines we have to follow to keep this tax-free, but that's my role, okay? But look at your balance, guys, at 67 or whatever age you decide to retire. Almost $3 million. This is wealth stacking, guys. Just simple compound interest here. No stocks, mutual funds, none of that stuff. Now, here's a bonus here, okay? At that whatever age. Now, by the way, you realize if you're rolling in this kind of cash, you can choose when you want to retire. You don't have to wait till 67. Okay, I'm so excited I can't get it out. But anyway, we show you how to turn on a check for life, guys. And what I mean by that, every 12 months, guys, to supplement whatever's left from Social Security that you may or may not be getting. Anyway, and trust me, I've been at this long. I don't need the software. But that kind of balance right there, I promise you guys, every 12 months, not one time, but every 12 months on an annual, whatever your anniversary date is you choose to start this, I promise you can write yourself a check for about $205,000, $210,000 a year every year until you pass away, guys. Not one time, remember that. But look at the difference in your return on investment here. Instead of losing 70%, that's almost a 1,500% return on your money, guys. And yes, that is real. You just got to come get to know us and check us out, and you can learn how to do this too. And now, let's see, Richard's up next. I'm going to step out of the way here. Let him do his deal.
Yes, how you doing? This is Richard. I'm Richard Bass from ES Private Network LLC. and Envisions. In the real estate division, we do a lot of different things to help people devise when it comes to real estate. Difference is we're going to do the same thing that Carlos had earlier, and what we do is we take a party and we make them the banker. We'll explain in a couple of minutes. But you see the same description that Carlos had given you earlier with the same amount of putting it into the fund for $200,000. You see 2 layers of taxation, and then you see a negative loss of return of 70%. We're going to take that same amount of $200,000 and we're going to put it in, and we're going to make you the banker. And remember, I don't know if a lot of you guys don't remember what we're about to tell you, but we used to have to put deposits in the bank. We used to go to the bank. I tell people all the time, what do you see at the bank that you normally don't pay attention to? It's a sucker they normally have on the countertop, and that's exactly what you are, because you give them your money, they put it in, and they make millions, and they pay you pennies. How about reversing that situation and making you the banker? In this case, we do our transactions very quick, so we're willing to give you a great rate of return. You know, on this side, you're only making 1 to probably up to 3%, Carlos?
Yes.
Up to 3% on this side. We're going to pay you 6%, but instead of waiting 42 years, we're going to pay it to you in less than 30 days. 30 days of return on $200,000, 6% is $12,000. Now, understand that return you make is not tax-free, it's tax-deferred. As Carlos said it earlier, tax-deferred does not mean tax-free. So you're taxed on that. The beauty of it is, we tell you to take the remaining of that $200,000 after tax-deferred hit, and you divert that right back to cost. We'll go into detail about that in a couple of minutes. But let's just think about it. $12,000 in less than 30 days, who can do that? No one does that. So this, parties say, well, how many times can I do this? You can do it as many times you like. So we'll tell parties, we'll take that $200,000, we'll make it a revolving line of credit, and when you make it a revolving line of credit, you can do it as many times you like. I always forget what Carlos put the acronym at the bottom. Carlos, tell him what the acronym is, because he made that up.
I'll stay where I am. I'll just use my red blazer, if you can see that there, guys. I'm an acronym guy, so I made this up. It means, repeat as often as you like. This is not a one-time opportunity here.
And Carlos is correct. It's not a one-time opportunity. So you see now, I hope you see the bigger picture of how you can actually make money on purpose. Because you're building layers of wealth, we're going to go into more detail about that in the next slide. So we'll bring Carlos back in, and we'll go on to the next part of this presentation.
Now, hopefully, guys, over these last 2 slides, you've seen something that got you excited, has given you hope, and you're beginning to see there's not just a different way, guys, but a much better way. Okay, so you may be asking yourself, well, how can I begin to participate in this, or just what can this look like for me? Well, first, let's talk about the first step. Okay, and you've got to give yourself a realistic view of where you are now, and how to get to that next step. Let's talk about the first step. You heard me mention earlier this wealth test, self-test. This is something I just had to create back around, at the beginning of 2010. And the reason for that, guys, let me explain very briefly. I've been at this a long time. In fact, I'm in my 33rd year in the money business now. And here's the thing, guys, I've been doing this so long. When I meet a person, let's say you've been in one of these plans for more than 20 years. See, I know the historical timeline of the market, all the major declines, let's say 81, 87, 94, 2000, 01, 02, 07, 08, 09, 15, 18, and right now. But anyway, having been through that, guys, here's what I know. Without looking at your balance, whether it's online or an actual physical piece of paper, if you've gone through all that stuff, guys, I already know that your situation is negative. And what I mean by that, if you look at my form here, guys, if we look at your cost basis here in line 1, and look at your current balance, like where your account is right now, I can already tell you in most cases your cost basis, meaning, and by the way, I'm sorry, let me explain. I'm sure most of you just went, what is cost basis? Well, this is actually the amount of money that's come out of whether you paid weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly. But this is the amount of money, guys, that's come out of all your paychecks for whatever number of years you've been doing this. That's what goes into line 1. And because of those dates, historic dates I just gave you with market declines, guys, because of all that, and it's, by the way, it's mathematically impossible to recover that. So that's the reason why in most cases you've actually paid in more than your balances. And remember I mentioned earlier how you've been invited onto a playing field to play a game, but somebody hid the rule book from you. Well, here's one thing that's never explained until you meet us, okay? Is that you have to pay attention to your cost basis, guys, and almost nobody ever does that. They simply follow their balance over the years, not realizing, looking at this number, that's not your true balance, okay? Because after all, when we get down here, guess what? We have to apply some taxes too. So anyway, we start off with your cost basis, your current balance, compare those two, and we look at that first difference right here. And then again, because here's the thing, even if it looks positive right now, meaning maybe you're one of the lucky few. In fact, statistics out there say 2 to 4% of the population guesses right on those investments, and they're actually okay. That's 2 to 4%, guys. What does that mean? The other 96 to 98% of us have just guessed wrong, and we're in a pretty bad situation. Anyway, but if it looks good, let's say you have a difference that's positive over here. Don't get happy too quick here, because we still have, remember, the money goes in pre-tax, right? And so here's how we get you to look at this. If you were to retire like right now today, what would your tax implications be? So that's how we treat this. So anyway, first of all, guys, you have to understand the entire amount of money that you put in here is subject to the ordinary income tax. And let me explain that. It's not the current balance, even if it's less, guys. It's the amount. Let's keep in mind, the IRS has allowed you to defer all of this money. That's what the ordinary income tax is applied to, the entire thing, not just the balance here, current balance. Okay. Then any money you've made over and above that is subject to a separate capital gain. Okay, so when those 2 layers are taken out, guys, we look at what's left here. That's your actual nest egg. Okay, if you want to know where you really are, I mean, honestly and truthfully, where you are financially, this will open your eyes and will show you, where you are.
And Carlos, you ought to tell them that nest egg means the rest of your life, what you're going to live on that portion there.
And guys, could I do something real quick here? This wasn't planned. Okay, forgive us, we're going to ad-lib a little bit. But guys, I just sat down with a person earlier today. Okay, and I'm just going to fill the numbers in for you. So here's the deal: a 60-year-old, 36 years on the same job. Okay, forgive me, I'm going to step in front of this for a second. Okay, on line 1 here, his call. Well, actually, I really want to make this dramatic. I want you to feel this. Okay, so here's what happened. He's actually sitting there. He cashed this thing out about 6 weeks ago, and he's already got his check with the remainder and all that. He's not really happy. But anyway, he's actually sitting there with his last 401k statement in his hand. And so I had to point this out here, okay, because the cost basis is on there. So here's what we did. And he already knows this. He's looking at his balance here, which was $88,000. And by the way, he had already got all the taxes over paid. He got a check. I'm going to skip to this number here. So after all that it was, he got $47,000 out of it. But guys, here's the eye opener for you. Guess what his cost basis was? Remember what that is? And remember, that was the current balance before he called and said, "Hey, before he got forced out by his company, he had to cash it in anyway." $88,000 was the balance up here. After all the taxes, when you receive $47,000, we cannot overlook the cost basis. Because remember, this is the money, guys, came out of all his paychecks for 36 years. Okay, this number was $158,444. Now, what did I tell you his balance was before he cashed it in, guys? His current balance? It was 88 grand. And then after he got it, cashed it all out and took the taxes out, he got a check for 40. And don't miss this, guys. He paid in $158,444, and 36 years later, when he retired, got forced to retire by his company, cashed it in, he got $47,000. So ask yourself, guys, what happened to that? What created that big gap? Well, go back 36 years. It takes us to 1984, right? He went through the market. Well, I can't say crash online. So he went through the market decline of 1980. 87, 94, 2000, 01, 02, 05, 07, 08, 09, 11, 15, 18, and right now he's right before, because the downturns of February and March hit him right before he cashed out. Yes, he went through all of that. That's the reason why he received a whole lot less out of this plan than he paid into it. And guys, here's why we're talking about this. I mean, right now, if you Google this, guys, there are 60 million people that have a 401k plan. Now, talk about the basic definition of insanity, guys. It's doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. Now, here's the thing. This is one isolated case. I wanted to talk about it because it just happened. But keep in mind, guys, I've been at this for 33 years, and we see this daily, okay? We see this all the time, but I wanted to point this out because it wasn't ancient history. It just happened. And guys, here's a takeaway for you. Again, if you're on one of these qualified retirement plans, guess where you're headed. Whether it's 20 years to whatever your retirement timeline is, 20, 30, 15 years, whatever, guys, you're headed for the same result. Okay.
Just imagine, Carlos, if you would have had the same distribution and a base amount and gave that money to you.
Yeah.
Where would that person be right now?
Just very quickly, guys, just a snapshot reminder. Here. See?
Absolutely.
That's what we do.
And we took some of that money and put it on our side.
Exactly.
And he could have doubled it. And get this, that party could have made somewhere around anywhere from 16% on their money up to well over 22% on their money, tax-free and tax-free.
Yes. All right, Richard, go ahead and take us into the next steps.
Here's the next step. If you're under the age of 60 and you're contributing any kind of retirement, investment, or saving plan, I would suggest you redirect that money to Carlos.
Yes. And for those of you that are over the age of 60 and you have money at risk in these plans we keep talking about here, redirect those dollars to Richard. Now let me explain why if you're over 60, because once you're past 60, guys, guess what? That 10% early withdrawal penalty goes away. So you have a lot freer access to that money. Oh, and if you've recently lost a job and have access to money at risk, and you're no longer working there, guys, so guess what? You have free access to that. Well, not free, but you have full access to that money now. And here's the thing: you may be able to work with, if you look at the contribution amounts. Well, we didn't really go into that in specifically for what we do. But anyway, if you have access to that money now, guys, you may be able to work with both Richard and myself at the same time. And for those of you that can do that, you're going to experience a truly blessed life to work with us on both sides of the house.
Absolutely. Now, if you start with Carlos, we will teach you, train you, and guide you to build you up to a point to where you will build another layer. Get this, another layer of wealth with myself.
And if you start out with Richard, guys, guess what? We will teach you, train you, and guide you on how you can spin off some of those profits from his side of the house and build another layer of wealth with me, Carlos Sands, the Safe Money Man, at the same time.
And that's what we mean by double dipping. You'll be double dipping in Carlos and both of our plans. And then the multiple levels that we're going to take you in is far beyond real estate investment. We'll go on that into the detailed plan. Once you enroll with Carlos and take advantage of this great system, you'll be able to access other layers of opportunity secured investments that you can only dream of. Now imagine, this is true wealth. And once you learn the ropes and you've seen and experienced real results, it's only fair, Carlos, and then share that information with the family and friends. Now, the bonus we're talking about, Carlos kind of gave it up a little earlier, but that's okay, because in this plan here for us, with the bonus here, those who are unemployed, you have free access to that money now. So while you're sitting at home and watching this, what we're telling you is you can take advantage by moving and starting a new beginnings. And at a new beginning, you're just only steps away. So just from that burden into a blessing. Now imagine that. A burden into a blessing. And now, while you're creating new futures in wealth building far beyond your wildest imagination. So just look at it. Start it now. Do the right thing. And I think starting with Carlos, as he stated, if you're going to do the same thing, you're going to expect a different result. That's insanity. Starting new now, you have an opportunity. I know a lot of you guys, over 21 million, are sitting at home right now with no job and wondering where you're going to be. Right now, the best choice, the best step you can ever make is get with Carlos and I and learn truly how to make money on purpose. So we just go into the next one, Carlos.
Oh, just one last thing here, too, guys. I want to say a little bit more about that phrase we like to use here, turning that burden into a blessing. Because, it's funny, the general population looks at this when you lose a job and you're sitting there now, and I guess the contributions stop into that plan and all that. They make that look, appear to be a bad thing. Oh no, you need to get to know us, guys, and let us show you. There's hope here. Okay, that's why we're doing this, guys. Okay, it's not about us. This is about making a better way for you guys. Okay.
Now, here's our information. You can call us directly at the office and leave a detailed message to Carlos and I get back with you. You have our email addresses, but we stress to you guys, go ahead and go to the Make Money on Purpose 2 website, go through the initial training. There is a section under structured training, and then you will actually do that in the leisure of your home. We suggest you, if you're husband and wife or partners, we suggest you watch these trainings, only 15-20 minutes, that you can be able to take. Once you get through phase 3, which takes you into our empowerment phase, Carlos will do a one-on-one with you related to the wealth test, self-test. And then after that, you go into the new horizon and take advantage of these great opportunities. So we look forward to serving you, and thanks for joining us on our new channel.
Oh, and one last thing, guys, I want to say too that we kind of left out here. We're not just here for the 1%ers, because believe me, guys, in my 33-year career, for the first 21 years, I was out to like every other financial advisor chasing those 1%ers. But won't go into detail here. But had some things happen to open my eyes. But just want to let you know, guys, for as little as $100 a month, you can start with us. Okay, just want to put that out there and let you know.
Absolutely.
We're here for the 99%. Okay.
Absolutely.
So God bless you. Thanks for watching this, and tune in again for more episodes
Make Money on Purpose.